If you've ever felt like your singing is technically fine, but somehow it's still feeling kind of flat, disconnected, not quite as alive or satisfying as you feel like it might be able to be, there's a good chance you are missing a step that a lot of singers don't even realize exists. And it's a really simple step. And I have found in my experience it has really profound impact. And it doesn't really have a lot to do with the actual mechanics of the voice we talk about a lot. It has a lot to do with how text living inside you, how are the images and the felt sense of a song, how is that living inside you in an authentic way? This not only adds satisfaction to your singing, but it also brings into line technical elements that sometimes we struggle to do mechanically in a really wonderful and easy way. And hey there, if you're new here, my name's Dan Calloway. I teach musical theater voice and vocal pedagogy at Boston Conservatory at Berkeley. I help singers coordinate their voices into efficient, satisfying, authentic instruments through a systems understanding of the voice, and I'm really glad you're here with me today. So a lot of singers approach a song kind of like this. We'll learn the notes and the rhythms. We'll kind of learn the words while we do that, and then once that's learned, we sort of sprinkle emotion on top, or we put this sense of feeling on top of the song. It's sort of like this finishing layer, or kind of like icing that people think about. But what ends up happening is you'll often watch singers sort of reading an imaginary sheet of music or an imaginary script while they're singing. And especially in theater singing, you see a lot of, in theater singing, we're taught to look at this point on the wall and imagine it's your scene partner. And so a lot of times people are really focusing on creating a face in that space and trying to play an action to it. But you see that the lyric is often not coming from an inside out place. And so how do we get the words of the songs we sing to live in an authentic place that can be shared heart to heart? And in order to do that, we have to let something real and unexpected happen, which can be scary, but it's worth it. And as you know, the audience can feel this immediately. Think about the times when you've heard someone singing that, well, they're a really good singer. That's a good voice. But you just can't make yourself care about what's going on. That happens all the time after watching hundreds and hundreds of auditions. You have that experience where well, that's a nice voice, that's executed well, and your emotions, your heart is not drawn in to the event at all. But then you have somebody who comes in and they open the door of their heart and they invite you in. And that's truly irresistible. As a human, we are drawn into authentic storytelling. We're drawn into someone telling us the truth. So our voice lives inside a system, a whole system of systems. And your artistry, your imagination, your emotional life, that is not only not separate from the system, that basically embodies the entire system. Your whole system lives within the framework of your expression and your artistry, your individual interpretation, point of view, and inimitable heart. And this, like I said before, it affects all aspects of the system. Your essence and your point of view, it affects how you're breathing. It affects your phonatory pattern. It affects how the vocal tract shapes sound. It affects phrasing. So if your imagery is vague, then the voice is going to have nothing specific to organize around. So I'm going to give you a really simple process you can use with any lyric that starts to make the text live inside you and not just sit out on a page. And so let me show you what I'm talking about, okay? So this is what often happens. I'm going to do the first lines of a sonnet. And this is often what happens. This is the difference. Hopefully I can demonstrate it on this video. So, all right, so if I just go, this is often what you see. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark, which looks on tempests and is never shaken. Okay, so that's the beginning of this sonnet. All right, so you could see I was sort of saying the words, as if I were reading them off of a page. Okay, so now I'll be back in my world. So I'll look at my place on the wall, speak to my person as I'm instructed by my acting teacher. Okay, so now I'm going to let those words live inside me a little more. I'm going to enter the heart, and I'm aware that you're watching me. So this is also a thing. He's like, oh, it went well in my bedroom. I'm aware that you're looking at me right now. And so I'm going to invite that in as well. And then I say, Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark, which looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark. Okay, so that's me. And I wasn't even planning, but I was just like, okay, I knew the felt sense of the person I was speaking to, and I knew the story that sonnet connected to for me. And then, as I'm going to show you in this process, you let the story really just live from the inside out. And it's quite mysterious. It's not something you can write an essay about or really wrap up in words. So I hope this process will be alive for you. So I'm going to invite you, as I describe this process, for you to do it with me today and to see what the results are for you. Again, it's so simple, and it takes 45 seconds, and I find it to be very profound. And when I do it with students, the results are really satisfying for them. So I'm excited to share this with you. So we got step one. I'll call this a neutral pass, or sometimes I call this the robot. So you just take 2 or 3 lines of your lyric and you just speak them out loud like a robot, or, just sort of emotionless. No expression, no acting. And this is not monologuing your song, all right? I won't go down that rabbit trail, but this is not monologuing your song. This is to let the text come through, let your mind sort of start to understand the text. So let's use Carole King's song, Will You Love Me Tomorrow, okay? So let's do this together. The first lines of the song. Tonight, your mind completely, you give your love so sweetly. Tonight, the light of love is in your eyes, but will you love me tomorrow? Okay, so there are the words. That's step one. You just did it, okay? So that grounds the text in your body. I'm hearing the words. Maybe some images are percolating up, but really right now that's really lyrics on a page for me, okay? Okay, so now that was step one. Literally just say the text, okay? Feel it, hear it. Now, step two, I call this open the treasure trove. Now, this is the part that I find very powerful. So I want you to imagine opening something right here, and you're just going to open this up like a door that goes into a treasure hoard in a castle. So I'm just going to open this up, and there's this deep stone room full of treasure, and that is your subconscious. All right, so I'm going to open it up. I'm going to allow my subconscious to come up and meet this text. All right, so as you speak the lyric again, you're going to let it come up and meet Carole King's words. Don't try to invent anything. You're going to really just let images and sensations and memories start to bubble up. Even if they're really vague, they might just be impressions. You might not see a clear image, but you just have this sort of known sense. It depends on how you experience the world. Everybody's got a different way of interacting with text, with imagery, with the 5 senses. Very important. And so I'm just going to do that. I'll open it up and I'll say, tonight your mind completely. You give your love so sweetly. Tonight the light of love is in your eyes, but will you love me tomorrow? So see what comes up. And the thing is, when you open up the treasure chest, sometimes things will come up that you don't really want to think about. Just let them move on through, okay? But see, that is being a human. Being a human is being blindsided by your subconscious all day. And that is the bravery of the artist, to be on stage and to allow the humanity of you flow through and to allow yourself to manage those surprises. And that's what makes a performance really alive. And it's also a very brave act and a very generous act, okay? So we opened the treasure trove, we said it, we let the subconscious meet it with some impressions. The great thing too is whatever comes up is your business. Nobody needs to know, but I know if you are telling the truth or not. I know if you're having a truthful moment or if you're manufacturing a plan for the song. You can feel the difference. So now all step 3 is I'm going to pause and I'm just going to get specific about what these images are. And when I say get specific, it's still all coming up from the world of the subconscious. So I'm going to take one more pass through it. And then I'm just going to pause on certain words and ask simple questions. And just, you don't know what the questions are going to be. The imagination will tell you. So tonight, when you are, who's you? Mine. What does that feel like? Completely. Mine completely. So let your own subconscious populate this. You give your love. What does that mean? What does that feel like? You give your love so sweetly. Is that different than before? So it just, all of a sudden, the story is populating. Where am I? What does it smell like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Tonight, Is this different than other nights? Tonight, the light of love is in your eyes. So you see, even in that, when I sing tonight, the image of eyes is already there. Yeah, I'm already imaging the eyes at the beginning of the phrase. Tonight, the light of love is in your eyes. But, my teacher Kathy from Elam always called that the big but will you love me tomorrow? Tonight, tomorrow. So already you're seeing this wonderful structure that Carole King wrote in this lyric. And what we spent, 90 seconds in that? What came up for you? And so then when you're singing the song, tonight you're mine completely. You give your love so sweetly. So just living an experience, and then you can layer it in every time. And then what happens when you add notes and rhythm, then the images start to move over time. So if you have a sustained note, tonight the light of love is in your eyes. And then look, she's got there's a pause there. That's what I call a light bulb. But will you love me tomorrow? So and then when you pass through, these impressions are coming up. So it's this reality of letting a story live from the inside out. And what I call this, you're building a whole bag of specifics. So the next time you sing, tonight you're mine completely, it might come up very differently for you that time. But you've already primed the pump. You have a whole rich trove of preparation that you can rely on. And then in that moment, I always say, the image could be a Pop-Tart. And that's human as well. Think about when you're in a really serious situation and something kind of silly pops into your head, and that seems kind of out of context, but that's how the subconscious works. So when you begin to sing, you're not trying to add a layer of emotion. It is already integrated into the work of the song. You have images, sensory detail, personal connection, and those shape the voice automatically. Like I said, it shapes how you breathe. It shapes the phonatory pattern that happens, registration. It shapes your acoustic shaping, literally, and your articulation choices. It puts you in the style world of the song. So it does a lot of work for you already, and we want to incorporate this every time we build a song. We want to think about all of these things as we're making technical choices, because that's going to inform the technical choices we make. And this is where it connects directly to technique. When the imagery is alive, like I said, your breath is organizing around impulse. Your phonation, it becomes responsive to that impulse. It fits itself inside the story. The vocal tract shapes really specifically, and phrasing becomes clearer. You start to really hear the phrase that you're singing and making choices according to how you want to communicate these units of thought. So instead of forcing your expression, your system is starting to organize itself around meaning, around honesty, around an authentic heart-to-heart communication. Without this step, you're going to be singing about something over there. And you see that a lot when you see singers that aren't as compelling. It's like the idea is outside of them. Or sometimes, especially if you're covering a song, sometimes the idea of the original artist is out here, rather than really digesting what you love about that artist's interpretation and then letting it be your authentic expression. You're taking a lyric, letting it be your own. You're taking another artist's interpretation. I love that about how Carole King sings that song. I want to add that element in to my artistry, my inimitable voice that is my own, that is different than anybody else's. With this step, you are singing about something. With this step, you are experiencing something through the mystery of time. I always tell students, when I really started to learn to sing legato, it was terrifying, because you realize you're in the stream, you're moving along the stream, and you can't stop it or control it. You are collaborating with breath, with movement, and with this mystery we call time, whatever it is. Big difference, hugely satisfying. As an artist, you won't want to sing any other way. So again, those steps, if your singing has been feeling just a little disconnected, uninspiring, try this as you craft your song. There's the neutral pass of the lyric. Open the space up, let the subconscious meet the lyric, and then 3, take your time within that lyric and see what questions come up in between the spaces as you look at the images and you let your imagination play a little bit. It doesn't take long, and it starts to really ground the images of the song into your heart, into your experience. It takes very little time. It's deceptively simple and super profound in its effect. And it can completely change your entire technical coordination, because the actual honest experience of living the song is going to affect all the systems of the voice. And if you want to understand how this connects to the full system of the voice, I've got a free voice map guide below that shows how all of these pieces work together. That is your body, your breath, phonation, registration, resonance, articulation, and artistry. So through this process, you're going to let text live inside you. And as you build your technical skill and coordination, your voice is going to know more and more what to do and find its way into some places that maybe it hasn't gone before. And most of all, please remember, there is, as I have said, there's only one you. Somebody would love to hear the story only you can sing. Love much. Now go sing and do those 3 steps. See you next time.